Good afternoon. I greet you with the greetings of respect and thank you for joining me and those who are striving to be mindful as we move through our journey through life for this special segment 7 of our Mindful Moments piece. This is a day of opportunities, possibilities, miracles, and choices. I begin by just asking you, how did you do last week? Thank you, first of all, for all of you who shared your comments, your thoughts. You shared this video, you shared the message. Thank you for doing that. That's been helpful not only to me, but it's been helpful to other people as well who were able to receive and hear some of your comments. But how did you do with putting things down that you maybe had been carrying, or passing that message on to someone else to maybe set down some things that had become weighty for them? Well, we always begin with taking a moment to relax and breathe together. Now, you know how sometimes you go into a room, you're sitting down comfortably, you get up, you go into a room to get something, and when you get in there, you can't remember for the life of you what you came in here for. You're standing around scratching, say, I know I came in here for something, I just can't think about what it was. So you have to go back, sometimes sit down and restart and reset. And then you say, I forgot my glasses. You needed to restart because there was an overload and there was a freeze intellectually, and you weren't able to access the information you needed for that moment until you reset everything. Now, for those of you who have smartphones or recognize things from an IT position or perspective, think about times when you're trying to use your smartphone and all of a sudden it freezes up and won't move forward, and you have to restart the whole piece all over again. Or think about times when you're on the computer and the computer freezes up and you have to shut it down and restart in order for things to get going. That's what the reflection part is about. That's what it's about when we sit still to reflect and relax and breathe. It's our way of restarting our computers, our intellectual computers. So this last weekend, I was at what they call a yellow ribbon event with some airmen post-deployment. We were talking about, in one of our sessions, we were talking about mindful techniques for managing stress. Two of the men that were in there shared their story. I want to share that with you because we already talk about box breathing and inhaling and holding and letting go. That's a strategy, hopefully, that you have. We talked about being still and becoming aware or awakening all of our senses so that we can recognize what's going on around us. That might help us manage through to become more mindful and relaxed. But here's what one of the guys says that he does to get to that place of stillness to restart. He said he lives in a rural area, and living in that rural area, he has a fireplace, right? And he has a wood pile outside. He said sometimes at night, he'll go out around 9-10 in the evening, he said, when it's snowing, and sit on his wood pile and listen to the snowfall. Can you imagine how quiet and still you have to be to hear the sound of snow falling? I'm going to let that just sit with you for a minute. Beautiful thing, said he used it. Another guy said this is what he does. He says, we too often only look at the big picture. We look at the sunrise and we look at the sunset and we miss all the details in between. He says for him to restart his intellectual computer or to reset it, he says what he does is he watches the sunset, and here's what he's noticed by awakening his senses. He said he noticed the colors in a sunset changing about 4 different times. He's able to recognize at least 4 different colors in a sunset. He said he only noticed it when he sat still and became very quiet. He said he also heard different animals showing up sound-wise at different times, cascading in almost like an orchestra. maybe the crickets here or the frogs. And I don't know a lot of animals in the forest to tell you what they sound like, but he heard different sounds of different animals, and it brought a stillness and a quietness, and he was able to reset. That's just a couple of examples that I heard. You have your own stories. Share them whenever you can and see how that might inspire somebody to help reset, restart. If not you, maybe somebody else needs to hear it. Brings us to our mindful moment of today, inspired by Og Mandino's book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. I just held it up, even though it's probably upside down. I don't know how to make it right side up, but I'm holding it. You can believe that. So, a quote from this book. The story is about a man who's traveling and comes across these scrolls. He comes across 10 scrolls. In the movie Baby Boy, Tyrese's character, I think his name is Tyrese Gibson, his character quotes one of the very first scrolls in there, which is "Today I begin a new life." All of them are powerful. All of them are long. I'm not going to use that one that he talked about. I'm going to give you an excerpt from this other one. And this one is called "I Laugh at the World." Check this out. He says, "I laugh at the world, and how can I laugh when confronted with man or deed which offends me so as to bring forth tears or my curse? 4 words I shall train myself to say until they become a habit so strong that immediately they will appear in my mind whenever good humor threatens to depart from me. These words passed down from the ancients will carry me through every adversity and maintain my life in balance. These 4 words are, this too shall pass." He said, "And with laughter all things will be reduced to its proper state. This too shall pass." Now this piece was extremely important to me, and I'm going to tell you why. Personally, that ability to be able to laugh at the world, there was a time in my life when nothing was funny. Sometimes you can have a pain or hurt or something that's so deep when you've had disappointments, and I've had disappointments. I've had close friends to betray me. I've lost access to some who were very near and dear to me. I almost lost my girls, my daughters. Almost lost my mind during that time. I went to, because of not being able to find humor, a very dark place. I was heading there. My mother, who I lost my mother 4 years ago, right? 2012. Some of you know that. With that loss, it was so overwhelming, consuming. I started heading to a very dark place. It's not a healthy thing. It's not a good thing to do. I needed to try to find humor. And I'm already, some of you know, a serious person by nature. So for me to lose humor is not a good thing. My good friend Big Bob used to laugh all the time. I said, "Man, how do you laugh so much like that? How are you able to always laugh at the world and find humor?" He said, "I have to laugh to keep from killing somebody." He wasn't laughing when he said that. So I said, I get it, man. I get it. Is it possible that we might try to find humor in something that's going on, knowing that this too shall pass, that difficult moment, that painful experience we're having, this too shall pass? And you have to find balance in being able to try to share that humor with someone, because you don't want to appear to trivialize the importance of what's going on with them or minimize the significance of it. You're just trying to help them find a way to find some humor enough in that situation, or even value in the situation, to be able to go forward saying, this too shall pass. The other side of this is not only will the bad moments pass in our life, if we can be able to find some humor, but the successes of life will pass also. Do you know that there are some people who are paralyzed in their accomplishments of the past, and they live today always in a life of reflection? I did this back in the day. They're not working at accomplishing anything new today at all. It's all about what they did some time ago. This too shall pass. What are you doing today? How are you living and managing and maintaining things today? So we want to be able to laugh through the pain or be able to find humor in that. We want to be able to realize this too shall pass in terms of our greatest accomplishments. But just today, I was listening to my dear brother, Charles Blackmon. You might be watching, Charles. Charles Blackmon, he's an outstanding singer. Remember the connection he sang with Temptation? Powerful guy. He sang this song on YouTube, on Facebook today. Nobody Knows But Me, right? Never heard the song before. He did an outstanding job singing the song. But he says, nobody knows but me. And he said in the song that there's, I wanted to say this to you and I couldn't. Here's what it made me think about. Those opportunities and moments that you have to share something important with the important people in your life is going to pass too. You might say, well, I'll tell them thank you later. I'll tell them I love you at another time. Or the next time I go to visit, I'll tell them how much I appreciated what they did, assuming that you're going to have that time sometime later. Or what if a person is experiencing a terminal illness, right? Or a senior citizen? How do you tell them this too shall pass? That they're going to pass? No. It's about understanding there is a moment that is precious that we have right now, that you have an opportunity to say something, to say thank you, to smile. They say inspiration is better caught than taught. So sometimes you can help somebody smile through a situation by you smiling and trying to find a lighter side of things. You have an opportunity right now to maybe call that person and say, I appreciate you. Not assuming, oh, I like what you do, or I appreciate what you said, or I like what you did a few weeks ago. This too shall pass. You have an opportunity to do something like that now. That being said, I encourage you to look for an opportunity where you can pass this message on to somebody who is struggling trying to find humor. You think it's not critical? Turn on the news in any town that you're listening in and watch the men and women who have committed violent crimes today, this last weekend, because they weren't able to laugh through a difficult situation, or they committed suicide or some self-destructive behavior because they didn't find a way to laugh at some of the things that was going on around them. The events became bigger than them. The events that was happening in their life became so consuming that they lost the ability to smile and see their way through it. Look for an opportunity to share this video or this message. And as I always say, the way you share it is going to be more powerful than the way I do it, because some people are just going to miss me. Some people won't want to hear it just because I'm the one that's saying it. But if you say it, they just might get it. Look for that opportunity to do that. Encourage you to look for the possibilities of what will happen if you're able to maximize your moment and live each moment as if it were your last. Not frivolously just doing anything, but living it to the full, maximizing it, saying what you need to say to the important people in your life, and even people who you don't know personally, not missing an opportunity to just give them a warm greeting. How you doing? Smile. Whatever that needs to look like for you. Consider the possibility of doing that. Lastly, expect and experience the miracles that will expand in your journey as you go through life, as you embrace the idea and the concept of this too shall pass. I want to thank you so much for joining. Please like Marcus Gentry as requested so that you can get the invites when I'm doing this and some other pieces. Share the video, share the message, internalize it first, process it, put it in perspective, proceed forward. Thank you for joining me today. Until the next time, travel well. Respect.